In this episode, I'll talk about the issue of comparing yourself to others and how you can actually stop doing that. Hello and welcome to the Successful, Sensitive and Intuitive Entrepreneur podcast. My name is Lydia Sophia Wilmsen and I am an intuitive success mentor for sensitive entrepreneurs. In this podcast, I speak about the challenges sensitive and intuitive entrepreneurs face. I offer you new perspectives and solutions, as well as experiences of other entrepreneurs. Plus, I speak about my personal experience of being a highly sensitive person who has successfully built and scaled 2 businesses. All of that with the goal to make you and your business even more successful in your very unique and authentic way. Have fun and enjoy. That being said, I want to add that it can actually be good and bad. It depends on your internal structure and your way of motivating yourself. I will give you more explanation on that in a second. However, if comparing yourself turns you into feeling insecure, into feeling not good enough or doubting yourself, then we actually have work to do and address it. That means in this episode, I'll give you some examples how it shows up. I will explain when you need to change it. So is it something you need to change? And I will give you examples or ways of how to let go of comparisonitis. So how does it show up? And the examples I'm going to give yourself, you can check for yourself if some of those thoughts are yours, like if you can find yourself in them, and then you already know where you have work to do, basically. A very good example is body image, for sure. And that's basically a disease of our whole culture, of our whole planet, so to say. You can see Photoshop pictures and you feel ugly and fat, or you really see a beautiful person and it makes you feel bad instead of grateful for seeing such a beauty, basically. So it means you take it personally. And it's the whole culture of, like, before that we just had magazines or something, and now we have everywhere people only showing their beautiful sides and never their vulnerable and their perhaps hurt side, their not so beautiful side. And this makes something with people. And if you don't really feel good looking, beautiful, happy with your body, then this triggers you. This will trigger you. Or someone is more skinnier than you, someone is bigger, taller, has bigger boobs, smaller boobs, different hair color, more muscles, less muscles, whatever, people want to look like those people. So body image is a big way for people to fall into the trap of comparing themselves to others. And most of the time they end up feeling less than the person they can compare themselves to. It can also go into the other direction. So you compare yourself to someone who you think is not as good looking as you are, and then you feel better. So you also take the other person as a medium or a way of enhancing your own belief or your own feeling of worth. And it's always detrimental because you don't take this feeling of worthiness from inside of you and you put it onto other people, or onto, like, you are dependent on other people in that way. Another area where comparisonitis shows up is financial success, obviously. So someone makes more money than you and whatever, speaks about another sale they just made, and then you feel incapable and unsuccessful. So someone showing off or just showing their own success makes you feel unsuccessful. And this is such a big one in the entrepreneurial world. I remember I had this big time. When I was really feeling like a failure and my business wasn't really moving along, and I just couldn't bear reading about successes of others. I remember I took on a one-to-one coach because I couldn't be in a group program because I couldn't feel, or I wasn't okay with seeing from the success or reading successes from other people in the group. Like, this was so horrible. I wanted support from mastermind sisters, and I just couldn't do it because I felt such a failure. And I knew if someone would post something about, well, I made my next sale or I made my first sale, I would crumble. And I know this from my clients. Some of them really have an issue with what is going on at the moment, and they crumble when they read and hear about the successes of others. And again, you compare yourself to someone else. You compare your success to the success to someone else, and you feel bad. Another issue, another area is business results in general. So not only the financial results, it could be that someone has a bigger audience, someone has more likes on their posts, more comments, or is more visible in general. And you feel like a failure. You compare your results to that person and you think like, why don't I get so many likes? Why don't I get so many comments or messages and people talk about me? This was my issue as well. I felt like I was already successful with my business, and I felt other coaches, other business owners, entrepreneurs out there got so much more fame and so much more appreciation, and no one ever talked about me and my success, and that I was just an amazing coach and stuff like that. And I had to deal with that in my inner world first before it shifted in the outer world, and I got massive appreciation from other people like writing about me. Like, oh, Lydia, you're an amazing person. You are a wonderful coach. I'm so blessed to have met you and stuff like that, But there was a point when I saw that happening to other coaches, other entrepreneurs, and not to me. And it made me feel so bad and unworthy. And why is that not happening to me? Because I compared myself to them without even checking where they were, why it happened to them. If we were really like, you can't compare yourself to others because they are on a totally different path. And then there is the area of character traits. And especially for introverted and sensitive people, this is a big one because you think or you see other people being more lively, being outgoing, and you think like, I want to be like that as well. Or they are more extroverted, everyone loves them. They are always in the middle of the party. They are making the jokes. Everyone loves them. Everyone wants to have them around. And you feel not good enough. You feel too sensitive and your character traits are not wanted. They are not seen as something beautiful and wonderful. And this obviously makes you compare yourself to others and feel bad. And actually, it might go into a different direction. It might be that very outgoing people think, this person is always so reflective, and this person always thinks first before they act. And they have the same feeling or the same way of comparing themselves to you, but you don't see that. You just see others and you think, you don't see that. Like everyone has something where they compare themselves against. And the last area I want to touch on, it's the area of skills. So he's better than me in dancing, in singing, writing, talking, copywriting, whatever you can come up with, whatever skill. And obviously, if someone is training that or is actually from childhood on good in that, he might be better, but it does not, you don't have to take it personally. It is just a measurement where you can only lose, especially if you say he is better in. What usually happens and what the big issue here is that you compare others' best features against your average or not so good features. You don't compare your amazing features against amazing features of other people. You take that where you are already lacking, where you are already not as good as you wish to be, with the amazing character traits, the amazing skills, the amazing things of other people. And that's the big issue here. With all the examples I just mentioned, you can check with yourself which area you are struggling with. Usually we have some areas in life where everything is going fine and we are actually happy, and you will see that you don't have such an issue with comparing yourself to others in that area. So it might be that you have many beautiful hobbies. You know what to do in your daily life. You know how to spend your time with, and you won't think all the time, oh my goodness, I'm so crappy in that. I'm such a crap. I'm like, I can't do that. And if you're struggling in business, you will see that there it's really an issue. You're comparing yourself all the time with those extremely amazing and extremely successful people. Or it might be that business is super easy for you. So you make the money you want to make. You have an amazing audience. Everything is going smoothly. So you actually have no issue at all seeing people who are better, because you just think like, wow, that's something to strive for. Like, I want to be there one day. And it is more a kind of like, it helps you to grow. It is not something where you feel bad. However, perhaps you don't have the loving relationship you want to have. So when it comes to body image, or you as a partner or a possible partner for someone, you really don't see your worth. So if you see someone who is in a loving relationship, you question yourself, you compare yourself to that person and you feel bad. Or if that person has a really beautiful body or is a beautiful person, in your way of seeing that, obviously that's totally perspective, what you think is beautiful or not. Yeah, it might be that you question yourself in that area. So usually you have some areas where everything is going smoothly, and I really want you to check on yourself, like, which area is fine for me? Where don't I have such an issue with comparing myself? And where is it actually a really big issue? This is as you know from me already, awareness is the first important key to change. Now the question is, does it really need to change, and why? The thing is, or what you can ask yourself is, are you happy with it or not? Is it empowering you or holding you back and making you small? Does it actually help you to grow or make you shrink and feel bad? That's your first answer. So if you can say, yeah, I'm super competitive, and this person showing that trait or showing that ability or showing those results, it's inspiring me to bring on my best game, or inspires me to think bigger and believe in bigger things possible for me. We don't want to stop you from that. Obviously not. That's powerful. In that way, to compare yourself is beautiful, because it inspires you to think bigger and to go out there and make things possible you didn't think were possible before. However, if you're totally unhappy with it and you feel bad and you don't get anything done anymore, like you start procrastinating, for example, in business, you see someone having amazing results, being totally visible, making a lot of money, and it keeps you like in this stuck position that you don't do anything anymore. Of course, we want to change that, because this is not helping you to grow. This is not helping you to move forward. This is something you can work through, because it will keep you stuck in other areas of life as well. And the second thing is that it depends on your tendency. Are you an internal or external person? In NLP, that's neuro-linguistic programming, we speak about meta-programs. Those are behavioral patterns and communication patterns. And one of them is the internal or external tendency, or being an internal or external person. And that means, do you derive your motivation from yourself internally or from others externally? If you're an internal person, it means, for example, you do something, you're happy with it, and then you don't care about what others say about it or how others do it. You are just basically checking against yourself. Is that what you did good, or do you want to have it differently? And if you're externally motivated, you need the feedback from others. It is always checking against other people. Usually you are not the one or the other. Usually you are a mix of both. And it's not about which one is good or bad at all. It is more about knowing what type you are, or what your preference is, and then you can adapt. So as an external person, you will kind of need to compare yourself. You need that. It's not that it's worse, that you need this feedback from others. This is just the way you act in the world, and it's totally okay. The thing I mentioned before, there are those people who compare themselves to others or against others, and competition kicks in, which then makes them bring on their best game and deliver more and better results. So they need the outside world. It's a little bit like introverted and extroverted people. Extroverted people need the energy of other people to bring up their energy as well. And introverted people need space for themselves and no people around to recharge their energy. So you can check for yourself, are you more internally guided or externally guided? So for example, in my case, I'm a mix. I do decide what I really want based on my intuition, on my inner guidance. And I still love to discuss what I'm going to do with other people. And it's not about them making the decisions for me. It is because I want their feedback, because I want to have it like basically, I want to have it out in the world and see the reactions of other people and take it into account as well. It is more about discussing my own thoughts and my own ideas with other people. And not because I need that as a kind of approval. The approval comes from inside. However, I need to discuss it with other people and I needed to bring it, or not I needed, but I wanted to bring it to other people. And now if you know if you're more an internal or external person, it also gives you an idea of how you can use comparison with others. If it is actually a good way and helps you to prosper and helps you to bring on your best results. It is not always the case to say, no, don't compare yourself to others. It depends on your internal structure, if it really helps you to bring out the best in you, or if it keeps you stuck because actually you don't hear anything anymore from your own inner guidance. My brother-in-law brought in an interesting thought to me because he said there are people like he loves it. He does a lot of capoeira. It's a Brazilian sport, basically. Brazilian sport. And there is a friend of him. Who is always feeling bad that someone is better than he is. And for him, like my brother-in-law, that's not an issue at all. He loves to fight other people and fight with other people. And it's totally okay for him to lose. It's not about that. It is like he is playing the game against himself. So he wants to get better against the past version of himself. So he's actually comparing his version now against he's basically comparing his version or his present or current version against a former version of himself. So for him, it's not about comparing himself to other people. It's comparing himself and his actions and his skills to skills of a former version of himself. And I really like this way of looking at things. So for some people, comparing them to other people can be good because it brings out the best game in them. They really love the competition. And also because they can see if they have grown, if they have gotten better. You need to compare yourself to someone in order to see if you have gotten better, especially if it is a contact sport or something where you need other people to feel or to think about it. If your negative beliefs kick in, then you know it's time to change. So for all of you who see that it's a toxic pattern in your life, then I'll give you now some ideas how to let go of it. First of all, take it as a pointer. So what triggers you shows where you still have work to do. As I mentioned before, which area has the biggest issues for you? Is it the body image? Is it the skills of other people? Is it financial success? Is it other business results? What has the most negative beliefs showing up for you and the most issues when you compare yourself to others? And when you have figured out which areas they are, then it's again the internal work. So the more you feel worthy, the more you feel happy, beautiful, the more you'll accept everything and everyone around you. That you're feeling negative or that you're feeling you are not as good as other people, you are not having great results or whatever, that always comes from a negative self-image. And the more your self-image becomes loving and firm every day, the less you will have issues with comparing yourself to others. You can do it in a very free way. So you can check, oh, what is someone else doing? That's inspiring. Because it is based on worthiness and it is based on self-love and a positive self-image. So the issue of comparing yourself to others and feeling stuck, feeling bad, feeling unworthy always goes back to your own stable and firm self-image. So this is where you have to do the work. This is very profound. If you change that, and many of my clients show that, and also friends who have done psychotherapy or people who have done a lot of coaching, you can see it is their inner strength which helps them to overcome whatever is going on the outside or in the outside world. It's not that they do something in the outside world. They have like better responses to people triggering them. No, it comes from a firm and strong, basically rooting in themselves. Now, of course, that's a process. That's not something where you say, now I have a strong self-image and that's it. What you can do now directly is to shift your focus. Energy goes where you put it. So the more you compare yourself, the more you'll end up getting things to compare yourself and feel bad. So the more you check for things to feel bad about, the more will be presented to you. You can call it a universal law, you can call it whatever. It is just plain obvious. What you focus on, this is what you see. This is where you put your awareness. So you have to stop doing that. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. What you look for, you will find. Like, how can you do that now? Shifting your focus. It's a daily practice. So you, for example, you see, I'm comparing myself again. Okay, and you just tell yourself, I stop doing that now. And the more you become aware of it, the more you tell yourself that, the easier it will become. And it might be, for example, to stop doing what you're doing. In that moment, it could be to defollow people who trigger you. You can take your attention off them and helping you in the physical world, in the material world, through really not looking at those profiles anymore, not looking at those people who trigger you anymore. Really defollow them or defriend them or don't open your Instagram or your social media anymore from those people. And you can reduce your online time drastically. Really stop following those people who make you feel small and insignificant due to their successes. I have done that. And obviously, both go hand in hand. You work on yourself, you become stronger internally, and you skip those people who trigger you at the moment. And once you have this strength inside, you can check again and go onto that profile and see what happens. And you will see you're fine looking at that now. It doesn't trigger you anymore. But for the moment, to work on yourself and to focus, to refocus, get rid of everything what is taking your energy. Really block it out. Then it's much easier to change that stuff internally because you don't have that external distraction anymore. And when it comes to business, you could stop reading those newsletters, really get rid of all of them and all the information of others until you have found your unique expression and message and you feel stable and rooted in what you have to offer. Get rid of all that distraction in the outside world. Another thing is to really keep going. Don't let yourself be stopped and do whatever you want to do nevertheless. So you do the internal work, you get rid of those people who trigger you and don't read that stuff anymore. And you keep going with your own stuff. Because if you now get stuck and really stay stuck, the only thing is to start moving again. And you can do this in a small pace, but do tiny steps every day. And another beautiful thing is to create a folder either on your computer or create a physical one for all the positive feedback and testimonials you get. And whenever you fall into this comparisonitis trap, take a look into that folder and see beautiful manifestation of your worthiness and capability. And if you don't have a successful business yet, you can use what friends say about yourself, what your partner says about yourself, what other people talk about you, and look for that evidence. Start looking for that because then it will show itself to you. Those were my ideas around comparing yourself to others. We spoke about, first of all, how it shows up. I gave you many examples on that. And then if you need to change it or when there are reasons to actually keep comparing yourself, because it's a good way of checking where you are and how you can grow. And I gave you some ideas on how to let go of comparisonitis. I hope you liked this podcast episode, and if you liked it, then I would be super grateful if you gave me a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. Please also subscribe to the podcast and share it with people who you know can benefit from it. I really want to spread this topic of highly sensitive entrepreneurs and how to grow your business as a sensitive entrepreneur into the world, because people need it and the world needs the empathy and compassion of sensitive people. You can find all links to my social media profiles, my website and contact form in the show notes. You can also apply for a discovery call with me to discuss your current situation and questions, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much for listening, and until the next episode, much love, Lydia.